Once you've completed your whole front of the sweater, now we are going to create the shoulders. Right before we start, make sure that your work is inside out, so you could check here in the back. The side that you want should not be seen on the outside, should be right now yes on the outside, because we need it to be inside out. Now we are going to align both sides of where the shoulder should be. Now we are going to align both sides of where the shoulder is going to be. So match them up stitch to stitch. And now we are going to begin stitching, making single crochets but going through both stitches on both sides. So go through here and then find the matching one over here. Oops. And then just make a regular single crochet, going through both of those stitches. There we go. Now the next one. Find the matching one on the other side. Make sure you take the correct one over here. Next. Now remember that this is going to be a pull-on sweater, so we want to leave plenty of room for the head to be able to go in comfortably. So make sure to measure it as you're going along and see how much you need for each shoulder. You can measure it like this. After you've done a few stitches, you can fold it in half and match up as if we have another shoulder already. Then just grab onto here a bit, open it, and check if that space is wide enough. Mine is still a bit too wide, so I'm going to continue a few more stitches until I think it's the right size. When you're happy with the width of your shoulder, you can just snip it off. Pull it through that loop to secure. And here we've just created our first shoulder. Before we begin on the second side, I'm just going to count how many stitches I closed over here so that I could know exactly how many I need for the second side to make it fast and easy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 10 stitches on each shoulder. If you're making a different size, you might have a different number of stitches. So now turn it around to the other shoulder. If you had left a long enough tail, then you can use that, but mine is a bit too short, so I'm just going to attach a new tail of yarn. Here we go. So what I'm going to do is first make a slip knot so that I have a loop already on my hook. And now I'm going to go through that first stitch on the corner. The corner can be a bit tricky, so make sure that you're picking up the correct stitch. Over here, where's my yarn? Okay, and now I'm just going to crochet normally and pull through. So I need 10 stitches all together. And with that, our shoulders are done. Our sweater is already very much coming together, and all that's left now is to make the sleeves and then afterwards the ribbing all around. Now we are going to begin picking up stitches to make a sleeve. We're going to begin picking up from the bottom, going along one side and then continuing all around to make a nice circle sleeve. Grab your hook and your yarn and begin with making a slip knot. Now pick up your sleeve over here, careful with the loose end, and we are pretty much going to pick up one stitch for every row or so, more or less. So let's begin over here. And we are going to try to pick up one stitch for each row. So if you see a row going down, here I've picked up this first one. And here's the next row. So let's pick up from over here, making a single crochet every time we pick up. Next is over here. Oops. Then over here. It can get a little tricky, but just try to do it as you go along. There isn't really any rules of where exactly to pick up this stitch, so just wherever you see it fit. When you reach the shoulder, which we just made, you can go into that first stitch over here, or in back of it, and that could be considered like a row stitch. When you've reached the end, I'm just going to make one more over here. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch that I made. Over here. And don't worry if it creates a bit of a hole there. When we sew in these ends at the end, we're going to close that hole up. So now I'm going to chain one, turn my work, and begin crocheting back on all the stitches that I just made. Beginning with the first stitch after the slip stitch. That's going to be my first from this row. And begin crocheting all around. Now it's much easier because we have the stitches nice and clear. Once again, when we reach the end, and here one more. This is that first slip stitch that we made. Okay. Once we've reached the end of the row, this is not a stitch, this is where we slip stitched, and we're going to go into that chain one that we made from the previous row and slip stitch into that. Like this. Then again, chain one, turn your work, skipping over that first slip stitch and beginning from the first proper stitch, we continue crocheting. So go ahead and continue doing that for all along the sleeve for as long as you want the sleeve to be. After your sleeve is big enough, now we are going to finish off with the ribbing for the sleeve. Right before we do that, let's count how many stitches we have around. I've already counted mine and I have 31 stitches going around. And also let's count how many rows we have. So each, you see these like squares? Each one is 2 rows. So here was the row that we started with, the one that we picked up stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 24 and 25. So I have 25 rows for my sleeve. Again, if you're doing a different size, you're going to have a different number.